Hi, Patrick. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
All right, so we have, so Tom's gonna be our secretary tonight, so we're convening the meeting and I had them put in an announcement that the meeting is being recorded so that we do record the meeting, and then we actually have it at the end to end the recording. There have been some boards that have, something's happened, it has happened. So if if I'm not here and or every meeting, if all of us could go, yep, we're gonna start the recording, if we could all sort of share in that responsibility, that would be great. So again, we're convening. It's 6:02, Tom, and we've started. The recording is started, right, Rick?
Yeah, it's recording.
Right? Okay, good. So do we approve the agenda? We're adding one discussion, Rick?
Yeah, so 348 Ringe Turnpike will be added.
Okay, 348.
This is a discussion?
Yes, it's a discussion. And that's Ramon?
That's already on the agenda, or is that a different Ringe Turnpike?
That's a separate property.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Good spot, Scott. All right, so we've added, Tom, we've added one to the discussion, 348. Approve the meetings from last month. Does anybody have any issues with the meeting minutes from last month? Patrick?
None whatsoever.
All right, Tom
No.
and Scott?
I do not.
Okay, great. So there are no hearings, right, Rick? You haven't added
Nope.
anything, right? Okay.
Nope, no hearings.
So we have septic permits, but did 340, Ramon, are you on? I don't see that he's on here. Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
he's on.
Yes, I'm on.
Hi, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. You had come up. So you had written an email yesterday, you're having some issues. So we've just put you down for discussion purposes. And we don't have any hearings, so we can start with you right away.
Okay.
Okay. And let me go over here. Is it just going to be you, Ramon, as your engineer? I know we just did this yesterday. It's just you, right?
Yeah, it's just me today.
Okay. Okay.
What is this in relation to, Glenn?
Okay, we're going to talk about that in a second. So, Ramon, you had written an email to me yesterday. Do you want me to include that as meeting in the meeting minutes, or do you want me to leave that out and just go through what the issues that you?
Whatever is easier for everyone, Mr. Hathaway, it's really up to you.
Yeah, I didn't send that to anybody than you, so I sent it to Rick to say, sounds like there's an issue. Can we add, what can we do? We just, that's when we say, hey, tomorrow night, we've got a meeting, let's include you. I think we're going to walk through what the issues are. So I'm not sure I need that email. Rick, do you feel that way?
Yeah, I think that, if Ramon kind of wants to give his, whatever he had emailed you about and what the issues are, and I'd be happy to kind of fill in any gaps that there might be.
Okay, so you want Ramon to give us a summary of what's going on, or do you want to do it?
It's up to you. If you want me to do it, I'd be happy to.
Okay. Hi, John.
Hi there. I see Patrick's coming in as Mary Durkee.
Yes,
Yes,
I
we're-
am. Thank you.
I've asked him to correct that many times. He's not listening to me, John. So,
I don't
Okay,
listen.
fair enough.
okay. So we are talking, John, about, we have a discussion of 348 Ringe Turnpike. Ramon is a resident there, and Ramon, you want to give us a summary of the issues that you have?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So what we're doing is that we're putting in a new septic system. The septic system is in a very small area of my property. We've got the permit, that's all set. And it was contingent upon moving the actual well to a different location.
Okay.
We have started the process. We got the permit for the well, started the process, and we're down 500 feet and we don't have any water.
Okay.
Nothing yet. The second concern that I have with regards to that is that we don't know where the septic system is for the neighbor behind me. So we're not
Okay.
sure, because we couldn't find it on any maps where their septic system is. She's unresponsive. And I'm concerned that it could be within 100 feet of their septic system.
Okay,
Our properties are butting one another, and I don't know where we're at. So at this point, we've exhausted our budget for the well, and they're saying that we're gonna have to either do one of two things, frack it or continue to drill. So the
okay,
reason why I reached out is because I have a well, although it's only about 26 feet away right now from my existing system, but I've
yeah,
had it here for 17 years, and every 6 months I disinfect and I test. And we've got records going back almost 17 years. Because when we bought the property, that was the stipulation from the town at that point as to what we needed to do to maintain that well within that vicinity of the septic system, the leach field.
okay,
Okay?
okay,
We've never had one single problem with that well.
okay. All right. Is that your summary? Because and I'll add to some of that.
Yes, that's
Okay.
basically in a nutshell, yes, sir.
And for the board members, I received the email from Ramon yesterday, but I can't, I couldn't talk about it at a meeting. So that's why I asked Ramon, listen, attend the meeting, you see the whole board and we can discuss this. So, so I've read the email. It's pretty lengthy, but Ramon's just covered everything that was in there. So I'm just going to clarify two things for you. And Rick, stop me if I'm wrong, because so there was a plan, and this plan goes back 18 months or so. Is that the timeline?
So there was a soil testing application that was submitted March 27th of 2019.
Yeah.
That soil testing was done in May of 2019.
Yeah.
Plans were submitted on May 7th, 2020, and the permit was finally issued on July 17th of 2020.
Okay, so that went through our board, right? We looked at this, we approved the variances and everything else. And that plan today, just to clarify for the other board members, Rick, again, step in. The plan shows a replacement of the septic field and the septic system, right? Tanks included, Rick?
Yep.
Okay, tanks. And then it also, on that set of plans, it shows the well. It shows a new well.
Correct, yeah. In the back, so the septic's in the front of the property. The well was proposed in the back of the property, 100 feet away from the proposed leaching area.
All right, so there was a plan that showed septic system and well. So we went through it, we approved it, there had to be variances, so we must have approved it then. The only question I have is, Ramon's bringing up right now, Rick, that there's a neighbor's well. Isn't the responsibility of the engineer who's doing his job to locate all wells and septics if he's gonna put a septic field in their yard? Isn't that a responsibility of that?
So, yeah, a question was asked, and there were still some questions last week when the well permit was being issued. So I had gone on to Mass Oliver, it's the Massachusetts GIS website, and we were able to find septic information for some of the properties. The one directly next door to the left, Ramon's wife, Jen, went over and spoke to her and confirmed that it was in the front yard. So we knew it was 100 feet away. The only one that we weren't able to find information on was, what's his name? Bruce David?
Yes,
Who's,
350.
his property behind Ramon. So when I had put the 100-foot buffer on the Mass Oliver site, there's a small sliver of land in the front of the property.
Okay.
And unless it was in that, then we would be in excess of 100 feet. We weren't able to find those records though. So Ramon is correct. So I can't say with 100% confidence that the system's not there, but there's not very much area to put a system in that small area between Little Watatac Pond Road and that house.
Okay. So remind us, what were the variances on that original permit for that well and that and the septic? I'm looking more for, to talk about setbacks, but just to remind us what that was.
The baby looks good.
So there was a local upgrade approval that was requested for a reduction in the distance from a leach field and the tank to the foundation. It was 20 feet down to 10 feet. or 20 feet's required by code for the leaching field. They provided 15 feet. 10 feet's required from the foundation to the septic tank, and they provided 6 feet. They also requested a groundwater separation from 5 feet to 4 feet.
Okay,
And so those
Okay,
variances were approved by you on June 9th at your meeting.
okay. So, so Ramon, what I just heard is basically, if you had, so you were aware of all the variances that we had originally, you had a set of plans, it was stamped by an engineer, the board approved the variances. You went ahead, I guess you started, you were gonna install per this plan, which said septic system can fit here with these variances. The well has to, it's contingent, the well has to be this distance away, so the new well had to go here. So this fell apart when you, I'm not sure who we have, someone, we have someone else.
Whomever's the, what you could do is you can right click on the one that you see that is giving you the feedback behind the scenes, and you can mute them.
I think Patrick muted it, muted the.
Yeah, I think so.
That might have been Patrick. All right, so what I'm getting to is that if, Ramon, you were going forward and Ramon, in doing this, you know, it's sort of, it's a financial hardship at this point, but to let you know, he, you know, had to go
Here's-
in
here's
and.
one
and
more
cash
thing.
it. Yep.
So, Mr. Hathaway, there's one more thing.
Yep.
Where we're putting the well is a separate lot. It is not part of the lot where my house sits on. I own 2 lots,
Okay,
okay?
all right,
So we were gonna go through the process of installing the well on a separate lot, which technically I could sell.
yeah,
So
Okay.
what I'm looking for is, one, we're trying to do the right thing. We're trying to install, and we have gone 500 feet for the new well. We're not getting anything else. There's no
Okay.
water, right?
all right, and that's where I was going with that. Yeah.
Yep. So I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure that everyone was on the same page, that is actually sitting on a separate lot.
That you own.
Yes,
So
sir.
right now, we wouldn't even be here. Yeah, it's been some difficulties in getting this going, but it all fell apart in the last week because, yeah, you're gonna start your septic system. You went down 500 feet. You don't have water yet. They're telling you to frack. And I 20 years ago, I did the same thing and I learned about fracking and, you know, and it's more money. And guess what? I can tell you on many occasions, it works. But the problem is right now, you're out of money and you're like, if you had hit water, we wouldn't be here. You would.
That is correct. If we
Well, you
hit
hit the
water.
septic, and right now you're just getting nervous in the service. That people, I'm being told I'm going to have to spend more money, and it's not guaranteed that I'll have even water then.
That's
Right.
correct.
I know.
So right
Yep.
now, we're all in at almost 9,000 right now. They're saying it's gonna cost another 3 to 5, and now because we have to go so deep, we have to change all of the equipment, which is gonna cost another $3,000 to $5,000. And I just
That
don't
being a
have funding for
bigger
that.
pump, if you're going to go deep, you need a bigger pump. Okay, so it's a
That's
domino effect on the what you're going to put in. So
Yes, sir.
for the board, so that's what happened. I got an email from Ramon yesterday that went, I'm in trouble. And I don't have water yet, and I'm out of money, and I'm pleading for help. That what can you do to help us? So I called Rick and I said, what can we do? You know, and I guess a couple of different scenarios. And you know, we want to make it safe for Ramon, but one of the things Ramon has suggested is stop doing what he's doing with this well. I guess delay it until you have money, but can I use the well that I've been using for 27 years? It's only 25 feet away from the new septic field. Is that what it is, Rick?
Yeah, I can scale it off, but that's what Ramona gave me,
Yeah.
about
So-
25 feet.
Guys, I've been testing this, and was it originally, or has it been for 27 years, 25 feet off the septic field anyway? The one that was
Yes,
there for
because
27 years?
we've owned the property for 17 years, and they've
For
had
17.
the well in the exact same spot since the mid-'80s.
Okay, but it
Yeah,
is,
so
it fits.
Glenn, can I just
Yeah, go ahead.
come in for a sec? So I did go back, and Ramon kept on referring to 17 years ago. So what I found was a Title V inspection from April of 2003, which I think is when they had purchased the property. And so what had happened was Dave Perry was a Title V inspector, he had inspected the system and determined that the system was otherwise functioning, except that the well was within the 100 feet of the existing septic system. So what they had done is Dave came in front of the Board of Health on April 7th of 2003 with somebody by the last name of LeBlanc. I'm guessing that they were probably the previous owner.
Yes.
And so the board had allowed the report to pass with the well being less than 50 feet from the septic system with a couple of conditions. And those were that deed restriction would be put on the property, limiting it to 2 bedrooms, and that testing of the well would occur every 6 months, and the test would require test for coliform and E. coli. And if the test failed at any time, the system would be considered failed, and the board would order immediate upgrade. Water tests should be forwarded to the board. No increase in house square footage, and no P&S agreement until deed restrictions are properly recorded. So that was the decision of the board in 2003, and ultimately why the system was able to pass inspection at that time. Then the Colazzos had an inspection in May of 2017. That was also done by Dave Perry, and the system ended up failing because it was in hydraulic failure.
Okay. I guess one of the questions I have is it still is the deed restriction still there for the 2 bedrooms? So you haven't put an addition on, it's still a 2 bedroom? Is that?
It's still a 2-bedroom.
Okay, so we're okay there. It's a matter, you've been doing the testing, but you're replacing this because it has failed,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So, and that's not your issue. Yeah, I'm going ahead to do that, but I just got hit with this financial piece. Rick, when we talked yesterday, you were going to make a call to the state to see, can we do less than 50
Yeah.
feet? Are we allowed?
So typically what we deal with is the local upgrade approval section of Title V. So that's when people come in and ask for variances that we pretty regularly see for upgrades only. So within the local upgrade approval section, it says that the board doesn't have the ability to grant a variance to less than 50 feet. But in going back through Title V, not as a local upgrade approval, but as a Title V variance, the board does have the ability to grant any variances except for a variance to the less than 4 feet of pervious material. So according to Title V, you would have the ability to grant that variance. It wouldn't be advisable, was basically what I was told.
Okay. So we could do it, and I guess the issue comes down to this. There's a money issue. You per your letter yesterday, you cashed in a lot just to make this happen. And right now, based on, you've heard another $3 to $5 grand to frack, and maybe another few $1,000s for a bigger pump, because you have to go down. Okay, so those, that's now you're 3 to 5. So now you're 8 to 10 grand more over and above. So that's when you said, I need help, guys. So
Yeah.
you contacted the board, and now we're listening to that. So, I mean, I guess it sounds like per Title V variance, we have that, we can do that. But the issue is, and they don't recommend it, Rick, because it's just an unsafe environment. You're within 25 feet of a leaching field, right?
Exactly. And then, the other thing to keep in mind is that if they did go to sell at any point in the future, it could potentially create an issue with the Title V inspection, because a well less than 50 feet from the septic system is automatic failure criteria, unless the Board of Health approves some sort of agreement like you had done in 2003.
I guess the other thing, can we say, if it's a money issue, he doesn't have any more cash, we think it's another 8 to 10, can we say, go ahead and live off the existing well, do the testing until you have money, keep coming back to us every 6 months, and then, okay, I've got the money to go frack and redo it. And then if we went by that plan that we've approved, and he was able to frack and get water from the new well, then this goes away, right?
Sure, yeah, so you're talking about some sort of a consent agreement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that way, we're just trying to create a safe environment. And, I would think, Ramon, when you want to sell the house too in the future, you don't want that. You don't,
No,
you'd
and
probably
in
like,
fact, Rick brings up a good point in that if I go to sell the house in the future, I understand that personally, I wouldn't want to buy a house that has a well so close to the septic system. I would, at that point in time, continue with the project. The well is in. The problem is we're not getting any water. So I would,
Yeah.
at that point in time, spend for the fracking and for connecting the new, source of water to the house.
okay. So, so really okay, good. I mean, what I was just suggesting was, that we do a consent and maybe it's every 4 to 6 months, whatever. Hey, do you have the money now to do it? Do you have, and we just have you come back and revisit this and you continue the testing, so that you're in a safe space. So that would be one. I didn't know that yesterday until Rick made his call, but it's not recommended, period, because of the distance that this existing well is going to be. So you would be open to that, to
Yes,
we'll
absolutely.
delay
I'll
it and then
continue the
come back
testing.
with it. Yeah. Okay.
I will
So
continue the testing. That's not a problem. I will be more than happy to report the testing to the board every 6
Yeah.
months. I can email it to anyone who needs it.
well, I have to go back. I said 6 months. Rick, are you testing monthly now, Ramon?
No, I'm
Every
testing every
6 months.
6 months.
Oh, it is every 6. Okay. And that seems like a long time, especially if we're gonna be 25 feet, if you got an issue, someone's gonna get sick.
The interesting thing is that I don't just test the water. I actually disinfect the well. So every
Okay.
time that I go to, I disinfect the well, and we've never ever had a problem with E. coli or any other contaminants.
Yeah. I'm going to go around to the other board members and ask for their opinion. Okay, so John McLaughlin, what do
I
you
was
think?
speaking. How do you disinfect the well?
So when I go to ETR Laboratories, I buy the kit for the testing. The kit for the testing comes with the well disinfectant. I crack open the well, the cover, I pour it in. It's almost like chlorine. It smells like chlorine, but it disinfects. So when I disinfect, I wait 10 days and then I give a sample of the water to ETR.
Okay.
Okay, John?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have any questions, John, about what Ramon's asking? You understand his situation, right?
I understand completely, and I think it's reasonable to continue with the dug well, and he tests every 6 months and lets us know the reports.
Okay.
So
All right,
the existing well is an artesian well. It's not a dug well.
Oh,
It's an
okay.
artesian well. It's not a dug well.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, John?
Nope.
Scott, you have an opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm uncomfortable with how close it is.
know.
I think everybody is. I think we have all the facts that we are going to get. The fact that the state advises against, and that we're so close to a new septic, though it's better than the situation you're in with a failed septic. There's still a lot that can happen in 6 months. So, at this time, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only good part of it is Ramon's putting in a brand new septic system. So the system is new.
Yep.
So it is cold. There's some variances in there, but I would feel even worse if, if the system's failing, which actually it is, the existing, to leave that water that close, period. But putting in a new system, other than Rick, is there anything else to put the new system is there already a barrier of some sort, a plastic barrier or anything?
Yeah, because of the lot constrictions just being not a very wide lot, there was an impervious barrier that was proposed to cut down on breakout and grading.
Okay, so is that part of the scope of work?
Yeah, not between the well and the septic, if that's what you're asking.
That's
It's
what I'm asking.
between the septic and property lines. but not on that side of it. So the well is next to the house and upgradient from the proposed system. The barrier is down on the property sloped from back to front. So the barrier is proposed on the front and sides of the system.
Okay, that's a good point we just made. The well is upgrade of the new septic, is that what you just said?
Yeah, upgradient.
The existing one too, that's 25, it's still upgrade of that, of the new system? The
Correct, yeah.
existing one? Okay, so that's better. The issue is, once it gets in the ground, you know, it can leach into the well, it could leach in well. So hopefully with the new system, that you wouldn't have that. If it was a 10, 15-year-old system, you might worry about it. So Scott, I agree with, you know, we're all worried about it, but, you know, we're trying to, you know, help Ramon, you know, live in his house and feel safe and, you know, hopefully correct this over time. So do you have anything else, Scott?
Nope.
All right.
I have another question. Back in the
yeah.
day, we used to seal well shafts with bentonite. Do we still do that?
Yep.
Rick?
Yeah, so when we issue a well permit, it would be required that they seal that annular space with bentonite, and they've got a drive shoe seal, which would seal it to the bedrock.
Okay. Okay, John?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. Patrick, you want to weigh in on this?
So it was 2003 that the agreement was made that they could continue using this well?
Yes.
Correct. Yep.
And at that time, the deal was every 6 months testing?
Correct.
Now, was that testing results, were they supposed to be sent into the town Board of Health?
That's what it says, is that they should be forwarded to the Board of Health.
Were you receiving those twice a year?
I haven't gotten any.
Yeah, I did not know that. I was not aware of that. They just told us to hold on to all the records. I can
Okay.
guess,
Okay,
because we've been using the exact same company for, you know, as long as we've owned the property.
All right.
that's the part that I was just wondering about, if the results had been coming in or not, but obviously, Ramon,
and
you didn't know that you were
On a
supposed to send it.
go-forward basis, I'll be more than happy to share them. I just need to know who it is that I need to send them to.
Yeah.
So are we proposing here the idea that he can continue using that well, but when the time comes that it's to sell the house, that he takes care of moving the well to the new site? Is that what we're discussing here?
Well,
Correct.
I was suggesting sooner, like if 6 months from now, he gets the cash to do it, that he do it. You know, so we're all just, you know, we're trying to help Ramon out. It's 6 months from
Right,
now.
right.
He became flush, he got a big tax return, whatever that is, that this be a priority for him. You know, again, we're just trying to create a safe environment for Ramon and his family. So I'm suggesting that, you know, we just talk every 6 months, he continues to test. And if he has the cash that he's able to do that, then he, you know, it's a voluntary, you know, he's got to be, we have to trust that Ramon's going to come to it. Yep, I've got the money to do it, and or I don't. So we would just touch base that way. That's what I was saying. I wasn't waiting for the sale of the house.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't
Ramon,
want to wait for the sale of the house, quite honestly.
Yeah.
You're not moving
I wanna do this
anytime
as
soon,
quickly as
Ramon?
Possible. I'm sorry,
You-
Patrick.
You're not moving anytime soon?
No.
Okay.
All right. So you're anxious to get it fixed too. Does this sound doable to you? Hey, 6 months, okay, can't do it, but in 12 months, okay, now I have money, I'll go back. And
That
do-
would be my goal,
okay.
yes.
Yeah, okay. So what, I'm gonna keep going around the board. Patrick, do you have any other questions? Do you understand what, he's not waiting for the sale of the house. He's anxious to correct this too.
No, I understand. I just was wondering about the previous reports for the past 17 years, how those were handled.
Well, it sounds like, Ramon, you have a copy of those reports, right?
We can get copies of those reports. I
Yeah.
have to dig them out. I think I have a DVD with like about 10 years worth.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, Patrick, we could ask
Yeah,
Ramon just.
no,
to
I
submit
understand
what he
that.
has.
Yep.
Yeah, you want him, you're suggesting that, right? Be nice to see what the testing's been coming through.
Yeah, if he's been having testing, I doubt he'd continue living there if he was having a undrinkable water.
Right.
So I'm not necessarily looking to see the reports, but moving forward, I would want to make sure that they were forwarded to Rick.
All right, Rick, would you get the reports?
Yeah, so if I got them, then, I could put them in our files and make duplicate
Okay.
copies for Ashburnham.
All right, all right. Ramon, we'll summarize at the end of this, but it looks like, if we're leaning towards this, that if it is, that we'd like to have those reports sent to Rick. So I've got another board member. So Patrick, anything else?
None.
Tom?
It sounds as though nothing has changed since 2003, except his septic failed.
Right.
If his septic had not failed,
We
nothing
wouldn't
would
be
have,
talking about this. Yeah.
nothing would have changed whatsoever.
Yeah.
It sounds like the board was a little lax in not following up with the reports, but
Yeah.
getting those reports every 6 months or so.
Okay. I agree. I agree.
Um,
I'm surprised by 6 months. What are the testing? What's it cost you, Ramon, for the tests?
With the disinfecting kit, it's about $75.
Yeah, that's
All right.
not bad.
Okay.
No, it's not bad at all. And I don't mind doing it just for peace of mind.
So,
Yeah. And yeah, go ahead, Tom.
in case he never finds water, are there precedents for like bringing in a 500-gallon tank or something of water and getting that filled regularly?
I think we'd sort of play that by ear, but he's hoping, there's no guarantees for the
Yeah,
well.
The drilling
there's no
company
guarantees.
Henshaw said that 99% of the time when they frack it, they'll get water.
Okay.
So-
I had that done 20 years ago, had the same issue. I had water, but too low, and then they fracked it. I've been here 21 years and I have not had an issue, other than we had a drought in the last few years.
Mhm.
But so fracking does work, but it's the same as the well location. They walk up, where do you want me to drill? There is
Right.
no, it's really, it's sort of a shot in the dark. So, but I can say personally, I was successful with the fracking. If they
And
frack
Glenn,
yeah, what's that? Oh, if they were to frack and you got your water, then you wouldn't have to do a bigger pump or anything, right? If because usually they frack, you got water, good, you're done. Whatever pump they would be done. If they frack and you don't have any more water, then you go deeper, then it gets into a bigger pump, right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly what they explained. Yep.
Yeah, and the fracking is typically $3,000 to $5,000, right?
Somewhere in
So,
between there. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
so the perfect thing would be, we suggest going forward that you continue to use that well, and in 6 months, when you have the cash, you're able to at least frack, because that would be your first thing. You might frack and I got water, we're done,
Mhm.
right? Whatever contract is, okay, so you might not spend any more money, so it might not be as big a price tag. The testing doesn't sound very expensive, but it's a safeguard for you. Tom, were you done? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm done. I support your 6 months, every 6 months, trying to, get it figured out.
Yeah, yeah. And the testing
hey,
is,
Glenn, can I ask a follow-up question too? To Rick. Ramon was saying he sanitizes first and then tests 10 days later. Is that the order it should be done? I mean, wouldn't it naturally always come back fine?
So
Wouldn't you test first and then sanitize?
So typically, if they go and disinfect a new well, or if we find E. coli or bacteria in a well and we provide disinfection instructions to somebody, then it would be you disinfect and you add the amount of bleach. It's either tablets or liquid based on the depth of the well. And then you would start circulating the well. So you actually would put a hose on it and basically put the chlorinated water back into the well. Once you circulated it, and it's sat for 24 hours, then you would start pumping the chlorine out. So my guess is that they're making an assumption that by 10 days, the chlorine or whatever the disinfectant is out of the system by that time period.
But so you would, so follow me, it's say 6 months and that's the first 10 days of it. If I disinfected, did a test and it came back great, in 2 months, something would have happened because now the disinfectant has run its course. Possibly now it could be in a 4-month window where I don't know, and I may not know because before I test it again, I'll have already disinfected again.
Yeah.
If you test first and then disinfect, you'll know what you're disinfecting, right? I mean, I just want to make sure that the way he's doing it is safe for him and his family. And not,
sure.
and not
Yeah. So
backwards.
I think that you could do it either way as long as you waited long enough for the chlorine to clear from it. Testing before would give you an idea of what it was before you added any kind of bleach or chlorine that would kill the bacteria. You could have issues with wells come up at any point and any time, and that could happen. And sometimes well drillers will disinfect a well and bacteria will be back after the disinfection. So for the most part, I think if there's bacteria present, it's going to continue to be present whether you disinfect it or not.
Okay, thank you. So it sounds like we can, you can keep doing it the way he's doing it and feel comfortable that you're getting an accurate reading.
Sure. Yeah, as long as I can smell it down to a pretty low level, the chlorine. But 10 days seems pretty conservative as far as the amount of time to wait to make sure that it's cleared of chlorine.
Perfect.
The only thing I would ask is 6 months of, being 25 feet away. I guess we have the 6 months seems like a long time to find out there's been a problem. So is that normal? I guess.
That's just, it's a condition that the board came up with. So there's no boilerplate for this particular situation. That's what the board had come up with at the time. So, really what I'm hearing is that you want to sign some sort of enforceable agreement with Ramon that in a certain period of time, he'll return to the well and try to get water from it. The issue right now is, how do we get there? And how do you deal with the septic portion of it? Because right now they're linked together. And in order to gain compliance for the plan as it was proposed, they would have had to drill the well and discontinue use of the other well. So I think if you were going to go into it with the intent that you wanted to issue a certificate of compliance for the septic system at the end of this, then ultimately you would have to go through a variance hearing and grant him a variance for the offset from the well to the septic system with a condition that the new well that they're attempting to drill, you'll be revisited in a certain amount of time. And so, the length of time between testing and the length of time that you allow him to resolve the issue completely is really up to you.
Okay. I hear everything said. I don't think that every 6 months that we see Ramon, how are you doing? Do you have the money to at least do the fracking? Return again to try to get what that the well, the septic. I think you install it, do the inspection. Want to make sure that's installed correctly. I know you can't give him a sign off on it, but at least we all know the septic is installed correctly. And every 6 months, we're going back to see if we can go back to that, if he has the funds to go back to the well.
So I guess where I was going is the state offers a tax credit for septic systems. I think it's something like $6,000 over 2 or 3 years. And so he can't apply for that tax credit unless a certificate of compliance has been issued by the Board of Health. And right now, unless you granted him a variance, it would be open-ended and a certificate of compliance couldn't be issued because it wouldn't be in compliance unless that variance was issued or granted.
Okay. Ramon, were you aware of this, this $6,000 credit over 2 to 3 years? Okay. I mean, that sounds like something, what's the process to get that?
So I don't want to try to play tax attorney, but talk to your tax professional and have them walk you through it. But I believe it's just you had a failed system, you replaced it. You have a certificate of compliance to show that that was done. You have a Title V inspection to show that it failed inspection. But I'm not sure of the specific criteria. But I believe the amount $6,000 over a period of either 2 or 3 years.
That you would get over, say, 3 years, you get $2,000 a year tax credit plus or minus. And I know you're not a tax account, but that's how it works. So it's not just 1 year refund, it's 3 years,
Yeah.
2 or 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Ramon, are you interested in pursuing that?
Absolutely. I mean, and one of the other things is you bring up a good point. I don't know where the 6 months came from. I'd be willing to do it every 4 months if that's, makes the board more comfortable. And
I'm worried about you. Okay. We're being, and the state is, they're doing their due diligence and they're saying, we do not recommend, allowing this. And so I think the whole board, you just heard, I think we're going to do this. We're going to allow it, but we're all nervous. And I would personally feel better if it was tested maybe even every 3 months. I know that's $75 times 4, so now you're $400 a year to go test it. But I'm really thinking about you, 6 months seems a long time that you do what Scott had mentioned. Yeah, I chlorinate, I test, and we're great. But, to find out that you have an issue and it's 6 months, again, you will get sick before that if there is an issue. So again, just trying to protect you. So I'm just suggesting that it be done more, the frequency be, maybe every 3 months. Okay, does that sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
So testing every 3 months and
Yeah.
then send the results to Rick so
Yep.
that he can have them on file. And we revisit every 6 months to see where
Yep.
we're at as far as funding.
Right.
Or
Right.
for the.
And then
fact
I
that
would,
we're doing well.
and then I would have you look at this $6,000 tax credit. And if you find out, you go to your tax, oh yeah, let's pursue that. And they come up and they want, as Rick said, they need a certificate of compliance. If we know you're going to pursue that, looks like it's going to happen, I think the board would be more than happy to go, yeah, we'll do the certificate of compliance to 1,000. Maybe we even put a deed restriction at that point until you get the well fixed or something. We're trying to protect everybody.
Yep.
So I think there's a way to work this out so you can get this job done and you can feel safe. And Rick, I'm saying that I'm just thinking, if it was my house, I'd like to know every 3 months that the water was okay versus 6 months. No one else seems okay with the 6. I don't want Ramon to spend money where he doesn't. Rick, is there any testing every 3 months versus 6? What do you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you get to look at the water quality more often and see whether there's an issue and be able to address it if there is faster than waiting the full 6 months. But ultimately, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. Like I said, there's nothing written into the regulations that would say, if you're granting this or you're allowing this, the water has got to be tested every X number of months. It's really whatever you feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, Ramon just said 4 months. I work quarter. Guess what? Every 4 months, he gets it tested every 3 times a year. So I said 3. Ramon had mentioned 4. Does any of the other board members have any? Do you like this idea to test? Just increase the number of tests per year?
Well, it's been okay for the last 17 years, right?
Yes, and we're putting a new septic system in, John, versus the one it's fake.
So I think every 6 months is fine.
Okay, Scott, you feel okay with every 6 months?
Sure. Certainly I like more is better, right? But, 6 months has been working, I guess. And just, Ramon, if you do a quick Google search after the call, I think you'll be happy to see mass.gov on the septic tax credit. So.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Patrick, 6 months okay with you?
6 months works for me as long, especially with the new septic system being installed.
Yeah, and I agree. Okay. All right, Ramon, I was just throwing that out. So I think the board's we'll summarize in a second, but we're gonna go with the every 6 months. But that's up to, if you want to do it more, that's fine. So we know we're gonna send it. So, Rick, are you, yeah.
Yeah, Glenn, I was just gonna say, I mean, I know this started as a discussion and it feels like it's moving towards something more than that as a decision tonight, but do we not have to have, I mean, with these recommendations, with whatever the summary turns out to be, do we have to schedule him to come back so that we can rewrite the approval? I mean, it sounds like we're not,
My understanding is we need to do a variance to do all
Right.
this and then do a signing of the agreement.
and there's gonna be a butters and everything, right? I mean, I don't, are we ready? We can't do that tonight, Rick, I don't believe.
No, yeah, so Title V variance requires notification of direct abutters, so it would be anybody who shares a property line and directly across the street would have to be notified at least 10 days in advance of the hearing. So, we can kind of lay out the framework of an agreement, but we still have to go through that process.
Okay, that's what it felt like. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, Scott. So Rick, just have another meeting.
Yeah, so
I-
if you guys want to move forward with this and Ramon would like to move forward with it, then it would be scheduling a hearing for your next meeting and notifying abutters at least 10 days in advance via certified mail of the variance being requested, the date, time, location of the hearing. We're meeting on Zoom, so it would be a Zoom link. And then we'd need those certified mail receipts for the records. And then we could hold the actual hearing to consider it and the board could make an official decision.
And for Ramon, who would do that? Would you have Ramon's engineer do that, like a regular? Would he send out the green cards and everything?
He could do it on his own, or he could have his engineer do it. I'm guessing he'd probably have to pay his engineer for the time. So if it was something he felt comfortable doing, then I could provide him with some sample language that people have used in the past.
That would be perfect. And I could also, because it's right next to me, my neighbors, I could just walk it over and have them like sign off on it that they're fine with it or that they've received it.
It's more about receiving it. They might ask you questions, and if they're satisfied, yeah, it sounds like you're doing the right thing. You're going to correct a bad situation. Most people don't show up, but the ones who so they have that option. So if you have a great relationship, you're welcome to do that. But typically, Rick will give you the language. You send out a letter, you ask them to sign, show receipt. If we don't get those, but the green cards show us that you did ask.
Okay.
Okay. So
Got
how
it.
do we want to go forward? It would be your relationship with your existing neighbors. So
Okay.
sounds like Rick is going to send you how that happens. So Rick, we wouldn't vote on anything other than there's nothing to vote on because now we're asking to go into variance. So we really need to push this to the next meeting. And is the next meeting 30 days enough time? If Ramon's got to get it out in a certain timeline before the next meeting, right? The posted meeting.
So it would just be 10 days in advance.
Oh, okay. So there's time to do that. Okay. Okay. And now Ramon's working on a septic field. This doesn't affect that. He should continue to work on it and complete it, right?
So, it's not going to be as it was proposed unless they finish the well. So that's why we had talked about the compliance issues going down the road. And if
Yeah.
he were to obtain a variance to continue to use the well with whatever conditions that you might put on it, then that would take care of the compliance issue and we could sign off on the system at the end. I know
All right.
his installer, Luke Roddy, had already asked me for an inspection tomorrow afternoon. So we've got that scheduled.
Oh, good. Good. All right. Well, I didn't know it was that far along. That's great. Okay. So again, nothing for us to vote on. We would put this off into a hearing for the next meeting.
Just because of the administrative requirements in Title V, we wouldn't be able to do anything tonight.
All right.
I don't, did we lose Ramon? Is he still on here?
Ramon's right
here.
there.
I'm
Okay.
still-
So, just to meet those administrative requirements, we'd have to make sure that, we follow the procedure that's laid out in Title V. So I'll provide him some sample language, the language from Title V as far as the notification requirements and what they need to contain. And then we can get together next meeting and hold a formal hearing. And I guess what I would like to do, as long as it's okay with the board, is start the legwork as far as the consent order goes, so that we can have that mostly written up by the next meeting.
Okay, all right. What do you want, Tom, for Tom? We just had a very lengthy discussion. Can Tom, secretary, just put it, there was a discussion on this and we've.
It's the minutes have to just, we're recording too, so we've got that.
Oh, okay.
But the minutes just have to be a summary of the discussion.
Okay. And so there's no action, Tom, just,
I
discussion.
have a summary.
Okay, good. I love it. All right.
Thank you,
So
Tom.
we're all, so Ramon,
Yep.
you understand, there's nothing for us to vote on. We're gonna ask you to come back next month and there's some paperwork and Rick's gonna get back to you on what that is, okay?
When is the next meeting?
We have to look,
Is it typically
gonna
30 days?
yeah,
So if
Usually
we
the
keep
first
on,
Tuesday of the month.
yeah, if we keep on
It's
following the schedule that we have been, it would be January 5th.
all right. Okay.
Perfect.
January
okay with
5th, okay. You need that date, Ramon, obviously, because when you send out, you're gonna tell, in his letter that goes out to the neighbors, they say, does he give a date of a posted meeting? That
Yeah,
January
so,
5th, we're having a meeting?
Lately, what I've been doing is basically writing the majority of the letter for the engineers. So we include the language that we're not meeting due to the pandemic and the emergency order of the governor. It includes a Zoom link, the hearing time. So really the only language that Ramon would have to add is the variance being requested.
Oh, and then the homeowners, it's up to them to find out when the next meeting is?
It would include that date, time, and a Zoom link.
Okay, all right, okay, all right. Okay, Ramon, do you have any other questions, Ramon?
I do not.
Okay, all right, that's great. Well, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you on January 5th.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time.
Okay,
you.
well done, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Okay, there are no hearings. There's two permits that we have to look at, 5 Stodge Drive and then Wag Road new construction. Rick, you want to bring those out?
Yeah, if you can, I'm not a co-host yet, so if you can make me a co-host, then I can
Oh,
share my
okay,
screen.
sorry. Co-host, is it shared screen? One
Yeah.
participant? Share. And it's R Metcalf, right? I go to the R.
Yeah,
You
the
go-
RMAC.
You go into
Yep.
participants, you can give him rights there, I think.
Yeah, I'm making him co-host. I just clicked on make co-host. So
There we
I
go.
made you co-host.
All right, so let me pull that plan up. All right, I'm just gonna zoom in on here. All right.
So is this new construction or is it repair?
So it's an existing home and they're proposing an increase in flow.
In size of the house or?
So they're looking to add bedrooms, and they've already increased the footprint. They're basically looking to finish some additional space within the already existing house.
What's the address here?
It's 5 Stodge Drive,
Okay,
and so what they're looking to do is go to 5 bedrooms.
Wow.
And so
What are they at now?
right now, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it's a 3-bedroom that they have right now. Just give me one sec, I can pull that up.
What's the gray around the plant? Is that wetland or?
This hatching,
Yes.
it's pavement,
Pavement, okay.
or I think it's actually a dirt road, but it's driveway and dirt road.
Oh, so they're a corner lot?
So yes, it's kind of a weird setup. It's one of those kind of funky lake lot setups where I don't know if you can see my cursor, but the lake is over on this side. Stodge Meadow Pond is on this side.
Okay,
Stodge Drive comes down here, and then there's a right of way through this area to another house that's on this property.
gotcha.
And they own two parcels that are on a common deed. And so it's this one and then this lot number B right above it.
Gotcha.
So right now, the existing system is in the same location as the proposed. So I'm gonna, just because it's a large area, I'm gonna zoom in and do them a little separately. So right now, we've got existing tank and pump chamber out in the back. They're looking to abandon those and put in a new tank and pump chamber and tie on to the existing force main and pump up to this Presby leaching field. Using the Presby, I guess, for probably a couple of reasons. One is it's a reduced footprint, so you get a 40% reduction in footprint by using the Presby. You also get some grading break. So rather than being from the top of the system, that 15-foot breakout is measured from the bottom of the sand. So typically your mound isn't as pronounced as it would be with a conventional system. Because it's an increase in flow, they aren't asking for any variances. So it is in full compliance with your regs and with Title V regulations.
Right. Okay.
And just, if you guys are otherwise okay with it, I just got a PDF version of the plan today. I had done a previous review, so this is the revised version. I just haven't had the opportunity to review it. So if you were okay with it, I would just ask that you approve it with the condition that we get the 2 hard copies of the plan and the issues in my comment letter are adjourned.
All right, we got some noise coming in. Okay, it's gone. All right. Scott, you okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right, so we're gonna approve it based on, yeah. So you wanna, who wants to motion this? I'll pick Patrick, want a motion to pass this?
I move to accept the variances as noted in the plans for this property.
There aren't any
So
variances.
no variances.
Oh, damn, I tried to sneak that by you. I vote to approve this property as written out on the plans. How's that
And then
sound?
just with the condition that we receive the 2 hard copies of the plan.
With the condition that we
and-
receive the 2 hard copies of the PDF after it's printed up.
Okay, I'll
Thanks,
second
Matt.
it.
Thank you, John. John, all those in favor say aye, or go to Tom.
Tom says aye.
Patrick,
Patrick says aye.
John,
Aye,
Scott.
Scott says aye.
All right, Glenn Hathaway, aye. So we are passed. You are set to go, Rick.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll take that one down and bring up Flag Hill Road. All right, so this is also a proposed new construction lot. Right now is just vacant property. Wag Road or Wag Hill Road is off of Ringe Turnpike Road. And they're just looking to build a 4-bedroom house. install a well in the back property and then install the septic in the front. They're proposing to use a Presby system, basically for the same reasons as that Stodge Drive property, to reduce footprint and grading impacts. But there are no variances being requested. It's in full compliance with your regs and with Title V.
Okay. So no variances are required?
Nope.
Okay,
So I'll make a motion to accept Wag Hill Road as drawn on the plan.
I second.
all right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Patrick?
Tom
Okay, John, you gotta
Flanagan,
say-
aye.
Yeah, you gotta say your name. John,
Patrick says aye.
John
Aye.
says aye.
all right. Tom,
Tom Flanagan says aye.
yeah, Scott, I missed you, so,
Scott Billy says
Scott.
aye.
all right, Glenn Hathaway, aye, thank you.
I love the name of the road, Wag Road.
All right.
All right, so that's new permits.
Yeah.
Tom, yeah. Tom, were you able to get all that?
Yeah,
Those two? You're comfortable? Okay, good.
He
So
looks comfortable.
nothing, can we move on to our discussion, Rick?
Yeah, we'll do the COVID update.
Yeah,
So I printed out all the reports that we've had in Ashburnham since November 11th, which I think was the first one that came out since the last time we met.
okay,
So just wanted to go through kind of where we were at compared to the last month. So on November 11th,
okay,
we had these reportings are in 14-day periods. So it's a 2-week case count. So on November 11th, we had 12 cases in the previous 14-day period. On November 18th, it was 17 cases. So it had increased from the previous week by 5 cases. On November 25th, there were 23 cases. So we increased another 6 cases over that week. And then December 1st, which was the last reporting, there was 17 cases. So we had dropped 6 cases over that week. So we are on the downward swing right now. The next reporting will come out on Thursday this week. So we'll see where we're at. But you know, as far as the count compared to the state and specifically Worcester County, you guys are just about average. You're at the same level as the average for Worcester County.
okay.
You know, so
Rick, is there an age breakdown on the cases?
there is. I don't have it printed out, but I could email that to you if you want to look at it.
Sure.
And I can send that to all you guys. I'll just include you all in it. But basically, the state on Thursdays, they do community level data, and there's quite a bit to it. And you can look at all the data. They tell you kind of how it was interpolated. But I'll send a link to you guys so you can take a look at the last report that went out from that December 1st.
Does that include the Cushing Academy testing that's done out
It-
in Athol?
It would, yeah. So it would depend on whether they were a boarding student or a commuter. So if they were a boarding student, those numbers at Cushing would be counted towards yours. If they were a commuter, then it would be from whatever town they were commuting from.
Cushing
then-
claims they have 0.
I at least at last check, that was the case.
0 is good.
We like 0.
Yeah,
And so, if anybody, do you guys have any other questions about the numbers or?
Just
I guess I would ask what everybody else has been asking. We see that the vaccine's going to come out, and I guess everybody's anxious, like who's going to get it? Is any of this on our website, the latest? Do you have anything about distribution?
No, it's kind of in the early planning stages right now. So really, I think we had talked about it at the last meeting, but it hasn't changed. There's going to be priority for the elderly, and they're working on other high risk people and putting them in that category to prioritize them to get the vaccine. So it would be elderly, obese, and other underlying issues is really what they're looking at.
Did you say elderly and obese?
Obese, yeah.
Two separate criteria, I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I guess they could meet both, but yeah, separate criteria. So they're basically trying to figure out, who are our high risk groups and who are we going to provide these first vaccine doses to? Because the thing that they've said is that they're likely to come out in lots of 100 or 200 doses. So the number of people that you're going to be able to provide it to is going to be low, at least in the beginning.
All right. I would ask again, is there anything else that the Board of Health of Ashburnham can be doing?
I really don't think so. There's no trends and we really don't get a lot of complaints about the restaurants and the public places where we would have concern. I think it's really just reminding people that they really should be spending the majority of their time in their household and with the people they live with. And if they're not, then they should be practicing social distancing, following the current governor's orders as far as gatherings, wearing the face coverings whenever they go out in public. If they do that, then I think it's pretty successful. The issue that we found after talking to the public health nurses is the majority of cases we're dealing with are with people who aren't following those rules.
Okay. You had called me, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, and because someone had called about lighting of the tree downtown and all that, and a Santa Claus. Is that all happened and the handing out, or what's going on
So I
with that?
believe the tree lighting happened. That was just virtually. They were still working on that, the downtown thing that you were mentioning, as far as having the Santa and Mrs. Claus out there and trying to figure out a way to pass candy canes out. We had asked for a kind of just more detailed plan so that we could provide them some comments and never got it. So I'm not sure whether that's still in the works and planned to happen, or whether that's something that's been dropped from their plans.
Okay, all right. But there's nothing else happening like that we've been asked to comment on or give our opinion on, right?
Not that I'm aware of. There's a movie or a show that's going to get filmed at Camp Collier. And so we've been working with them. Right now, they're kind of in the planning stages. So they're just on the property and they're doing some construction work and getting ready for production. But it's
Okay.
not scheduled to start until February. So we're still working with them as far as COVID protocols and making sure that they're following whatever the current governor's orders require.
Okay. Do any other board members have any suggestions of other actions that we could be doing as a board? I'll go around the table. Tom, do you have anything?
I don't.
Okay, Patrick?
Well, we're not frontline workers, are we? We're not going to be getting vaccinated anytime soon.
Well, I am, Patrick.
Well, good. As long as you're taken care of.
As long as John gets it, yeah.
Yeah.
So Patrick, do you feel, do
if
you
I
have
come
any
across-
ideas or?
No.
If I come across any extra ones, I'll let you know, Patrick.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I categorize into that obese category
And elderly, come on, Pat.
and elderly.
And
Yeah.
elderly. So John, do you have any suggestions, or you think what Rick just said, we're doing everything we can do?
I
Right?
think you're doing everything you can do.
All right. Scott, do you have any comments on that? On the
I
COVID?
don't. I think we're
Alright.
doing good.
Scott, quick question. What is the school doing right now? Is it virtual,
Yeah, Rick,
Hybrid.
hybrid,
Hybrid.
it's a hybrid.
2 days a week?
2 days a week.
Yeah.
Well, I'm speaking of high school. I mean, that grade school might be different, but high school is definitely
Yeah.
hybrid.
Yeah, Rick, you're frozen. Are you still on?
Can you see me
Okay.
now?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? You weren't moving, so it froze you. You were holding your breath. Don't do that. That's not good. All right, so we've gone around the table. If someone comes up with something, there's something we can do. I assume, when the distribution comes, we've all seen everything on, from the CVS's to, everybody's trying to do their part and, give it, establish a place that where we can distribute. If there are chain stores, why not utilize those things that are in place and, so, okay. So I don't have anything else. So the next, there are two more things here, complaint at Ringe
Yeah, and just
Turnpike.
one more thing on the COVID. So I don't know if you guys have got an opportunity to listen to the governor's press conference today, but it was a pretty big announcement. So basically, as a state, we've rolled back to phase 3, step 1. And what that basically means is that outdoor gatherings and event venues and public spaces are limited to 50 people. Prior to this decision, it was 100. Outdoor theaters and performance venues are going to be limited to 25% capacity and no more than 50 people. Indoor theaters and performance venues, small indoor recreational businesses like roller rinks and trampoline parks will be closed. They're going to reduce capacity from 50% to 40% for places like arcades and indoor recreational businesses, driving and flight schools, gyms and health clubs, libraries, museums, retail establishments, offices, places of worship, lodging common areas, golf, and movie theaters. As far as the restaurants and event venues, you'll be required to wear a mask at all times except when eating and drinking, seat no more than 6 per table, and encourage diners to only dine with the members from their own household. They're going to put a 90-minute limit on tables. So if you come in, you've got to be out within 90 minutes. Musical performances at restaurants will be prohibited, and food court seating will be closed. For workplaces and fitness centers, you'll be required to wear a mask in offices when you're not in your own workspace and alone. Be required to wear a mask at all times in gyms, and they're just encouraging people to work remotely. So that was kind of the change that was announced today, and it will be going into effect on Sunday, December 13th.
Okay. All right. Anybody have any questions about that?
Nope.
That's all published. That's on the website and everything else.
Yeah,
for
that's
the-
on, I don't know if it's on mass.gov yet, but it was announced today.
Yep. Okay. All right. Anything else, Rick, for COVID?
That's all that I've got for COVID.
All right. So moving on to complaint at Ringe Turnpike Road.
So this is actually across the street from 348 Ringe Turnpike Road. So when I met the Colazzos out there the other day, one of the neighbors had come over and brought up a concern that there's a property that's on Billy Ward Pond, and we had received complaints about this a couple of years ago. We couldn't verify whether it was true or not, but they had said that there was some weekend work done, basically, where they did some work on the septic system and covered it back up, and there was no permits pulled. So basically what they were saying is, we've all gone through the legal process and done it the right way, and this person chose not to. They've, according to the complainants, basically converted a single family home that's probably only 1,300 square feet into 3 separate apartments. So there's just some multiple issues that are concerning, and even more concerning because the property is right on the water, that they were making us aware of. The issue is that they really don't have any evidence to back up their claims. So at this point, it's really hearsay. And so I talked to Glenn about this the other day, and Title V does allow you to order anybody to do a Title V inspection at any time. So it's certainly a route that you could take if you wanted to. The concern would just be that at this point, all we have is the word of several complaints, but not necessarily anything to substantiate their claims.
So what's the cost to do that Title V inspection?
It's probably somewhere in the range of like $500 to $800.
All right, because we would ask the owner of that of the apartments and say, we're asking you to spend $500 to $800, and we can do
That's
that?
that's what it would be.
Excuse me?
And it wouldn't be asking, right? We'd be directing that person?
It would be an order. Yeah, it wouldn't be a request. I mean, you
Right.
could write it as a request, or you could write it as an order, but you know, a request is just that. You're not, they don't have to do anything.
All right.
But you're discussing that it would actually be an order that we'd be doing, not a request.
You like I said, you could do either. It's just a request can get sent out and ignored, and there's not much you can do about that at the end of the day.
Right. So
So
if
they-
we're getting complaints, from neighbors, then it would be more direct if we just made an order.
I agree.
Yeah, it's, do we wait and waste time to have them, you know, ask, be nice and go and request, and then have them just ignore it, and then we lose a month and, you know, maybe an issue comes up. So, you know, so it would be,
I mean, the order would always allow them the ability to appeal it. So if they were really against it and they felt that they could, you know, provide you some argument that would make you
Okay.
decide that you didn't want the inspection anymore, then they would still have the ability to ask for that appeal.
Okay.
all right.
So
and-
Rick, obviously, before the snow, there was do we even have a chance to see if there's anything from the road that we could see as far as disturbance, or that
So
wouldn't be the septic covers, or?
So according to them, that repair happened like 2 to 3 years ago. And the Colazzo zone a right of way that goes in between this property and another property. So I was able to go down there. You know, it looks like the land has been disturbed at some point, but there's no signs of your active breakout, or you know, there's not a pipe that's going directly into the pond. There's no obvious issues there.
Are we able to look at, if I go to the town hall, open up the books, does it, for that address, does it say an apartment, 3 apartments?
I could check right now, but
Because if
Yes.
it doesn't, then that's one way to go, wait a minute, you're not
it
3
would, you know,
apartments.
that would be a zoning issue, so we couldn't deal with it, but we could, you know, write a letter as.
But
the
we
board
could
of
point it
health
out to
the-
the zoning board.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we stop there? Let's make sure legally, you know, what they're doing there is correct. And then,
Well,
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I'm-
I
I'm
guess
a-
it gets down to
I'm a little
a request or an
confused.
order, right? Go ahead, Tom.
I'm a little confused. So this complaint happened, is about something that happened 3 years ago?
Yes,
Why is the
Okay.
complaint happening now?
it's happened before in the past. It was just, you know, we went out there and there really wasn't anything to see. And it's just continued to come up, you know, about once a year from this group of neighbors that makes a complaint.
Seems
Okay.
odd. Maybe they just
So,
don't like the
Yeah,
guy.
I didn't realize it was
Well,
Yeah, I
that's
think
what I was
it's, you know,
going, Tom. If we say it's an order and we, because it could be sour grapes from somebody, we say it's an order, and now, you know, this landowner starts putting in complaints, we have to order everybody in the neighborhood. At least if we do it as a request, they're on notice that
Request.
we're paying attention, but, I mean, it seems like an order could be a slippery slope.
yeah, it might be a smarter route to go if it's been this long a period of time.
Well, I think the zoning question is interesting. Is it one
Yeah.
residence or 3?
And
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking it
agree
up,
with-
so I believe I think it's 351 Ringe Turnpike Road.
Okay,
Just make sure here. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's 351 Ringe Turnpike Road, and it's listed as a single family 2-bedroom seasonal camp.
all right. So something's wrong.
Yeah.
And how do people know it's an apartment? I mean, 3 people around the area know people, 3 families or 3 individuals are in there paying rent for what would they call an apartment?
That's
How
what
do we-
they're saying. It's basically, yeah, three three groups of people that are in there. Whether or not they're paying rent, I'm really not sure. But that's what the people had said.
I think that house sold not long ago.
That's what I
I
was
remember
checking right now, because that might be a way for us to request the
I think it was
inspection.
sold, I just did a quick Google search, but I remember looking at that house before, and I think it sold in 16. Oh, 351 says 4 bedroom, 3 bath, so that can't be the right place.
Yeah, 351. That says passing 2016.
So is that still a zoning, not a Board of Health issue? If you confirm the address, confirm what's on the books with
Yep.
that address. Okay, it is a single family, and right now it's not being treated that way. At that point, it's not us. It would be the zoning board would have to go in.
Yeah, so I can pass it along. If it is that property, 351 Ringe Turnpike Road, I've got the property card on it. It says it was sold 2/18/2016. And I do have a Title V inspection that passed 7/12/2016. So I guess, I'll verify the address. I'll pass the complaint along to the building inspector. And if it's not that address, then I will, we'll deal with it next meeting.
Okay, so you don't have to notify between then and now, because again, we just had complaints. So we had a complaint from the community and we're responding to it, and we'll do what you're saying, and then we'll see if the building inspector has to get involved. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, people could go up and you could deny it's an apartment building. These are all my friends. These are all part of my family, whatever. I don't know. All right, I'll leave that alone. Guess what? Address, what's it assessed at, and then building department walks in. Okay. Are we done with the complaint for Ringe Road? Rick, do you have anything else for Ringe Road?
Not for that one. Nope.
All right, John, do you have any questions on Ringe Road?
No,
Scott?
Nope.
All right, Patrick?
Patrick says no.
All right, Tom? Any
So-
questions?
So we're
All right,
not sending a request or an order at this
No,
no,
point?
because it
passing
could-
the zoning board.
Yeah, it could be a zoning.
We're gonna
board
let
issue.
Rick do some digging.
Yeah,
Yep.
let me do some research and figure out whether that's a correct property. I'll come back with more information next meeting.
All right, so we'll leave that on as a discussion.
Okay.
All right. All right,
I
Tom,
think it has to be a
y'all see
tight
that?
thing.
Tom,
Yeah, so
y'all
right
set?
now it's a septic tank and a leach pit according to the Title V inspection. But I'll make sure.
Okay. All right, we moving on? Rick, you all set?
Yep.
Yes, we are.
Mike Cove, installer license, that's still on here? Is there any?
Yeah, so
resolution?
I talked to the homeowner today and he asked if we could just remove it from the agenda at this point.
Okay,
So I'll keep on touching base with
Wonderful.
him, but at this point, that's what he requested.
and you're good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any of the board members have any questions about this line item?
No,
No? Scott, you're okay? Patrick, you
No,
okay?
I'm good.
Scott, not Scott.
Patrick says
John?
no.
Yeah, John, you look like Scott for a second. And Tom, do you have any questions or concerns?
No.
All right, on to appointments. Ashburnham Market, what's that?
So I thought Hans, the manager there, was going to be on, but I'll try to do my best to do what I thought he was going to come on and ask. So we've talked about it before. I think it was either last month or the month prior, that they have somebody who's interested in leasing the deli space there, who would act independently from the market. So they provided us with some information as far as the agreement that they've proposed preliminarily, a layout of the kitchen, and kind of a business plan for the gentleman that's interested in leasing the space. And Bridget's done some preliminary reviews of what they'd like to do. And basically she asked me to go in front of you guys because if you remember back a couple of years ago, we were having some big issues with them as far as compliance issues.
Yes.
And the majority of those have been taken care of. But there is one that she feels is bigger that remains, and that's the hand sink in the meat room. So basically the food code requires that you have a hand washing sink in each food prep area. They don't have a hand sink in the meat room. They have it in another room. So according to them, they'll go wash their hands in another room and then go into the meat room to do their work. And that's just not what the code reads. And they've essentially been operating because they were existing prior to that requirement being there. So they've basically come back and said that it's just financially infeasible to put a sink in that room at this time. Because I think if I remember right, there was a slab in that area of the building, and it was more complicated to get a sink and then just running plumbing down to the basement and tying into what was existing there. So they are asking if the board would be willing to allow them to move forward with the leasing of the deli space without them having fully complied with what you had asked for in 2018. And basically what they said is, we do plan to put the sink in. It's just not financially feasible at this time. And we're hoping that leasing out the deli space will make it possible financially.
Yeah, we'd love to see another deli, competition, a new deli, but there's not enough information here. I mean, is it slab on grade at that point, or is there a basement below?
So half of the building is and half isn't. And I want to
Yeah.
say that part
the
was
meat
the figure that he gave me for the sink was somewhere around $3,000 to get it installed.
Yeah, that's about right. He's gonna have to, if there's a basement below, he's gonna, core for the slab. That's not a big issue. And then I assume down below the plumbing's down there, right? They're hooked into the town sewage, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So there must be a connection down there. So 3,000 sounds a little heavy for a sink, but did they get multiple bids? Did we see anything, any paperwork?
He hasn't given me anything. That was just a verbal that he gave me. So right now, the only things that he's provided to us are a floor plan, a business plan for the deli, and the proposed lease agreement.
So why can't the pipes run through the roof or through the roof space rather than going through concrete to run a line?
Like
Yeah,
a
it's a
sewage
drain.
ejector pump.
Yeah, because then you need a pump.
Pumping's okay. You can pump. I would
Pump's
still
not a
be
problem.
impressed. Yeah.
Just more the money issue.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is just the money, not necessarily doing it. I'm assuming that they're trying to do it as cheap as they can.
Yeah, but cheap, if there's a health issue, cheap doesn't work. Someone gets sick. So,
Well,
you know-
I guess I mean cheap saying, is it cheaper
Inexpensive.
to cut the slab or is it cheaper to pump? And I'm assuming that they're choosing
Right.
the cheaper of those two options.
Or is it cheaper to come to us and say, can we not do it?
Yeah, exactly.
I think
Yeah.
that's the cheapest way. Since
Yeah,
we've already
we
been
don't
down
want-
this road with them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Scott, good point. Yeah. We don't want to spend $3,000. Can you not have us do it? I mean, now I'm gonna guess, I'm trying to help them. How far away is the sink? But why are we even doing that? Why are we looking
Right.
into it when Bridget's already looked into it and gone, okay, by
Right.
code, guys, you need a sink in the room where you prep. Because as soon as I go outside, I wash my hands. Oh, by the way, I go to the bathroom. Now I come in
So-
and wash. Yeah.
So we're being nicer than we need to be right now. Well, what we asked for 2 years ago, they haven't done. So why don't we
Yeah.
just say to be able to move forward, they need to install this sink.
Here, I second that.
I third that.
Okay. Is that a vote? Or is
Yeah.
that just?
We don't need
No,
a
Rick, do
vote.
we
I mean,
need
you
a
guys can
vote?
take a vote if you want, but really, that's what they're asking. And our concern was, if you're expanding the use of the space, let's at least get you up to current code requirements.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and,
right.
you know, if you don't want to
I
do
think-
that,
yeah.
then you need
I
to
am
ask the board for
unanimous
that
on this.
permission.
I want to know the guy preparing my meat and my stuff, you know, has a place to wash up for obvious reasons. So,
I'm trying to lease a space that's not lease compatible. So, I mean, I don't, it seems like it's not.
very
So the
good.
landlord's
not-
responsible to make it least compatible.
So we don't need a vote. Rick, I guess the board's saying, you know, build it to code,
Right.
right?
Okay. I mean, that's what we were saying. We just, you know, we're not going to vary from the requirements. You guys are the only ones that can do
Yeah.
that. So,
Yeah.
And by the way, they didn't show up to the meeting to ask themselves, so. Just saying.
Exactly.
All right, so Rick, we don't have to vote on it. We're saying they should, you know, the board discussed
Install the
it.
sink.
Yeah, you need to build.
Put
it
in
to-
the sink.
Put the sink in.
Build the sink,
Yeah.
build the sink.
You good with that, Rick?
yeah, that's all I was looking for.
Okay. So is that it for the Ashburnham Market, Rick?
Yep.
Okay, so we're on
That's
to, we have two other items, correspondence. We have the Neshoba Board of Health Food Service renewals.
Yeah, so I can
Um,
go through them if you want, but these are just basically the annual renewals of the food permits. So everybody's got to get a new permit for 2021.
Okay, does anybody wish to see here the list?
No,
I do not.
I guess it's, yeah, okay, good. Tom, you okay? You don't need to see the list?
I'm okay. I think this
Okay.
meeting is a record.
No, it's only 7:30. All right, we're done. It says any other business, and underneath that says close the meeting and end the recording. So,
That's your
Tom,
reminder.
yeah, I know. I'm gonna go around the table. Rick, do you have anything else for this meeting?
I do not.
Scott, do you have anything else?
I do not.
All right, John.
yes, I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Oh, that was so nice. You're the only one that, I went through two other people, nothing. I got no.
I'd like to
holiday spirit.
take my statement back. I have more to say.
Yeah.
Scott, there's a problem. You're on record now. Your great grandkids
Yeah, I
are gonna go
know.
back. Look,
What a
why did
jerk.
my grandfather say? So, Patrick, do you have anything? Patrick is
I'd say
frozen.
we could all meet at the tavern, but it's just not gonna happen.
All right,
Too many of them.
Tom, do you have anything?
I do not.
All right, so I wish everybody well. We don't have anything. We're gonna close the meeting, Tom, at 7:34, and I'm gonna end the recording. Okay, Rick?
All right.
I'm gonna click on it and on the pink bubble, right? Stop recording.